to the Dream 100 Show, the epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Dream 100 Show. My name is Michael Tasner, and my special guest for this week is Ginger King, and she has just a lot of really amazing stories about how she has grown her cosmetic empire, and it all hinged around kind of deploying and leveraging the concept of the Dream 100. So, Ginger, welcome to the show. I would love to start with and just tell our listeners a little bit more about your background.
It's my honor to be here. So I'm a cosmetic chemist. I've been in the beauty industry for a long time, and I help people to build their own beauty brand from concept to launch, including formulations that they can own. I also started my own beauty brand in 2020 for two reasons. One is it was out of aspiration of my mentor, Damon of Shark Tank. And also I wanted to show people that I can help them after I build their brand for them.
So in being a cosmetic scientist, I mean, how did you get into that field? Was that a field that you saw yourself going into? And that's not every day that I get to hear that somebody is a cosmetic scientist.
Not really, but I was very strategic. In the beginning, I actually wanted to be a makeup artist because that's when I realized, how your appearance actually will affect the perception for others. And I wanted to be a makeup artist. However, being Asian, it was expected that you either get a PhD degree or at least a master's degree. So when the cosmetology school called, my family actually told them, "Oh, Ginger, there's no such person." And I was crying for weeks. So I decided I'm going to major in chemistry and become a cosmetic chemist.
It's interesting. I don't know enough, obviously, about kind of the upbringing in an Asian family to realize that, like, hey, it's expected that you're going to go and get a PhD or an MBA or you're going to get all these fancy degrees. That's crazy. So instead of you following your initial passion of kind of cosmetology school, you would kind of strategically, to kind of fit that stigma of what your parents were saying, hey, you've got to go down this path. You went down the path of being a scientist, but in the beauty space. Where did you go to school, out of curiosity?
I went to San Jose State University. I majored in organic chemistry.
Very cool. So then after you left there, what did you take a couple of jobs out of college? Did you go right into doing your own thing? What did that look like?
Okay. Actually, there wasn't any cosmetic science programs at the time. We're talking about a long time ago. So getting a chemistry degree was the closest I can get. And getting a job in Dole Foods company, the pineapple company, was the closest I can get. And I was analyzing vitamin C's in the pineapple juice and salads, orange juice. And I was like, vitamin C is in skincare. So that was like, okay, I'll take it for now. And then I was also moonlighting in the department store, being a makeup artist and also doing sales behind the counter. So it kind of fulfilled my dream. And at the time, I was actually able to solve an issue in pineapples because pineapple, for some reason, it turned pink and then it turned dark. And what we call it the pink disease. Nobody knew what's going on. All the senior scientists, they were scratching their head. But because I was working at department store, that was the very same time as the L'Oreal launched their self-tanner. I was like, could pineapples got tanned? So I bought the self-tanner and analyzed with HPLC. And you know what? It's the exact reaction. It's the Maillard's reaction. So I was able to identify the cause.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, that's a lot of fun, though, that you keep moving towards your passion. I mean, you were moonlighting and really doing the thing that you absolutely love so that you could kind of be close to your customer. So then fast forward a little bit, how did you then launch your initial business where you then were kind of doing, is the term private label or what is the right term? So kind of fast forward that to how did you then transition from kind of working with some of these other companies, moonlighting to, hey, I want to start private labeling my own line of cosmetics?
It's not private label. So let me go a little bit more. So it wasn't really enough just being a chemist in a food company. So one summer I just went down to Los Angeles. It was like 6-hour drive, and I basically knocked everybody's door, say, I have a chemistry degree. I want to be a cosmetic chemist. Hire me. So I got hired in a private label lab and starting my cosmetic chemist career. And then the rest is history. So I learned how to do, well, you already know I have the previous at the counter beauty retail advisor experience. And then I was making the products. Then later on, Avon Cosmetics in New York relocated me from California to New York. Then I also went to, I got my MBA because master's degree is needed. And I got my MBA. I went to like a smaller company doing their product development marketing. Then I went to a contract manufacturer setting, doing business development. Then I went to cosmetic raw material sales. So because everybody say, I want innovation. But if you don't have the cosmetic raw material for your innovation, you're only a dreamer. So I kind of went from all the 360 of everything. Then I have the enough background. I started my own consulting company about 10 years ago.
It's fascinating to learn. Like, I don't know anything about the background of the cosmetic industry. And that's interesting. Like your point of everybody wants innovation. Like, hey, I want to have the best skincare brand and something completely new. But to your point, if you don't have the raw materials and know what to be using, it's just kind of a pipe dream. So I even love even more just your drive to, hey, I want to be a cosmetic scientist and knocking on doors and just kind of making stuff happen and building relationships and just continuing to experiment. So when you then you relocated to New York, you were working with the private label company in California, relocated you to New York and continuing to grow your career. What was that tipping point that you said, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur? I want my own brand. I want to do this on my own. Was there a defining moment, or what was that tipping point?
Absolutely. Shark Tank. It's like it ignited my entrepreneurial spirit. I was like, wow, I was religiously watching the program.
I love it. No, that's awesome that you not only just watching it, but you then decided to act on it. Did you like quit all your jobs cold turkey and then like one day you're an entrepreneur, or were you kind of building up your stuff on the side, getting ready to launch to have a little bit of a better financial footing first?
It was a side hustle. I actually started my own beauty brand with a partner. We no longer had the company together, but I started with her. And then because, when you start up, the finance is very tight. So I had to do consulting on the side because I already have the credibility. I already have the client base because I was in raw material sales. So I know who are the contacts already. So it's very easy for me to do consulting. So I always do consulting and helping brands.
Love it. So, and you just got such a fascinating background. I mean, and I know that you've been written in lots of magazines, and I've seen your stuff on Forbes, and like you've been called like the top cosmetic scientist. What magazine was it? Elle or
Queen of Cosmetic Chemistry.
Yeah, like that just is some amazing credentials. And then you started watching Shark Tank. It inspired you to, hey, like I can do this. Fast forward then to kind of, I guess, the last couple of years. So as you know, the concept, the frameworks of the Dream 100 are all about relationships, and in particular, landing, nurturing, growing one relationship that like just changes your life, changes your business, changes the trajectory. And I know yours actually ended up you landing a relationship with Damon John from Shark Tank. And I would love to hear that story of how you got that relationship and just more about that, because I mean, for our listeners, like he's somebody like at the top of the totem pole that they might have a Dream 100 list, for example. And even if it's not a Damon John, it's somebody in their industry that's like way, way up there that they could only dream of. And you made it happen and then ended up starting a brand. And he's like the face and in the brand all over the place. So just tell us a little bit more about kind of how you got that relationship and just kind of talk through that story a little bit, because I think it's beyond fascinating.
Sure. So it's very simple. I stalked him.
Love
And
it.
I didn't stalk him in a malicious way. I stalk him in terms of whenever I know he's going to be giving a keynote speech, I always show up. If he has a book signing event, I always show up. And it's always I never ask him for anything. It's always what I can do for you. Because I actually learned so much just from the sideline, just from the reading the book, watching him on Shark Tank, and respond to his tweets. And I already learned so much, so I don't really need to ask him for more. I just want a pure friendship and mentoring. And this is what most of the people, if you just go in there with the intention saying, hey, you need to help me on something, it will be very off-putting. So I start off with the relationship. It's like, what I can do to help you. I truly, truly admire what you have. What can I do for you? And then I comment on every single of his social posts. And after a while, you just become friends.
What's crazy is, this is the exact framework that I teach within the Dream 100 is exactly what you've deployed, like to the T without even knowing the framework. And it's exactly as you said. I use the word like ethical stalking, and it's, to your point, you're getting in the same room, but you didn't just do it once and say, well, I tried and it didn't work out. You ended up going to multiple events, and then in tandem, you deployed the other stuff that we teach, which is authentically commenting on and replying to their posts and sharing their posts. And because they start to notice, like a lot of our listeners think, well, they're this big celebrity, they're not going to notice. But they often in their downtime are sitting and looking at their social media. They might not be replying to all of their stuff, but if they're starting to see, well, Ginger King, and then, oh, wait a second, didn't I meet her at my book signing? Wasn't she at this event? She was like in the first row. But the icing on the cake that I love that you said was that you didn't come asking for anything. Like you didn't come, Damon, well, can you get me on Shark Tank? Will you invest in my company? Can you give me some cash? Can you make it like you just authentically wanted to become friends and kind of garner him as a mentor? So you were doing that. How did that end up having that tipping point where he's like, okay, let's have a conversation? Was it at an event, or did he like slip his email to you and say, hey, let's talk? How did it like then go from you're showing up at all the events, you're commenting on his social media? How did that then turn to the mentorship piece?
Well, he actually offered a lot of formal mentorship program as well. And of course, I was an official mentee, but I was also in a lot of his ambassador program, helping him to launch his books and everything. So there isn't really a turning point like overnight he's a mentor. He's a mentor since day one, from afar and from close. So it's very hard to say. And I would say when we really got close was after he got married. He sent me a text saying, I just need to let you know before it goes to public that I'm married. I got married. I was like, absolutely fine.
I love it. And I'm assuming that the mentee program, that was a paid program that you joined, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yes. So that's the other thing that a lot of our listeners, they don't understand, that one of the other ways to accelerate is to pay for that. And like you're now in the room but you continued to like I just love how you say it of like, he was a mentor from afar. Like I know you've read all of his books and everything that he does in Shark Tank. So you're getting that mentorship, and then you're showing up, but you're just continuing to serve. So when we talk about Fan Love Beauty in just a minute, of then how you were able to kind of partner with Damon on that and allow to kind of use his brand and his likeness, you continued to serve, and you paid for the levels of access, but you didn't go in and like just start asking for things because you paid. Like you kept serving, and what else can I do for you? And then when that time is right, then you kind of go in for the ask, but it's a softer ask, and it's really not seen as an ask. Like I would assume that if you reversed everything and you started going to his events and book signings, and then you left a card and it said, I want to partner with you, and can you help promote my brand? Then he would have been off put. But instead you kept, hey, what can I do to serve? How can I help? What can I do to serve? I want to be one of your best students. So absolutely love that. If I fast forward to your main brand currently, how did you then get his permission to, I know he's on your website. I think you mentioned he's even on billboards. And I know that it focused on you wanting to serve kind of entrepreneurs and people that they talk a lot like me. I talk a lot, and I've got to buy some of your lip balm that people get dry lips because you're talking all the time. And I know you wanted to kind of craft something specifically for him. How did that then kind of, I guess, get over to that next level of, hey, Damon, can I have your face on the website? What did that look like?
Well, because the whole premise of having the brand was because of him. So, I mean, without him, the brand doesn't mean anything to me. You know, when you build, it's very easy to build a beauty brand, but it's not easy to build a beauty brand that have a purpose, have a mission, as the why. And the why of me building that brand was because I saw Damon and we were at his like a Century 21. He has like a thing over there, and I saw him took a lip balm out of his pocket, and I was like, Damon, what is something that's in your pocket on your lips? It has to be mine because I'm a cosmetic chemist. And lip balms, if you take out your lip balms, I guarantee you're going to see at least 3 ingredients, or if not one or all of the 3 ingredients, it's not so desirable. First one is petrolatum, unless it's USP grade. If it's not, it can have carcinogen, if it's not purified. Second is lanolin, which is from the wool grease. Long-term use, you can have contact dermatitis. The third one is beeswax. You're going to say, what's wrong with beeswax? It's natural. But where do you get the beeswax from? You get it from the beehives. How do you like your house to be messed up for human vanity? It's not cruelty-free. So my lip balm has none of those. Instead, it's full of superfoods like flaxseed, avocado, coconut, and also clinical levels of sea asparagus known to boost hydration by 6,000% over 28 days. So it's like a superfood for your lips, especially because the lip balms could be ingested. This is the reason why it's very important. And Damon is a speaker. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make this for speakers. So for the general public, when you use this balm, you can speak like a shark.
I love it. Wow. I mean, it's like you paid attention to the small little things. Like you were at an event and you see him putting on lip balm and you're like, hey, I mean, I'm a scientist. I bet you that lip balm you're putting on your lips isn't really the best thing for you. So how did you then say, hey, Damon, can I use your likeness? Was it because you've kind of built up all of that goodwill that he's like, hey, let's rock and roll? Like, did you have to go through a bunch of legalese with him? How did that then kind of move to the finish line to where it is today?
Well, I need to make this clear. He's not a partner of my company. I own 100% of the company. He has not invested a dime. But what he's been doing, he was actually my guinea pig since day one. I mean, we went through many revisions of the lip balms. He tried every single revisions. And then when I asked him, can I get a testimonial? Can I get a video? Can I get this? Can I get that? It was like, fine, take it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's incredible but you put in the work and you didn't give up. You weren't like, well, I've been commenting on reposting all of his stuff on X / formerly Twitter. Well, he didn't reply, and this stinks. I give up. And I went to this event, and I moved the needle, but I don't know. Like you were persistent. You kept on it, and now you've got this amazing relationship where he's now a part of your brand. He didn't have to invest. You own the company, but to your point, because you built up all of that goodwill, yeah, I'd love to endorse it. Whereas anyone else from the street he'd probably say, yeah, I'll endorse it, but cut me a check for $200,000 or because you built up that goodwill. So that's such a fun story. That's such a fun story of leveraging the concepts and the teachings of the Dream 100 to garner this shark that you have landed. What's the main website so that our listeners, I'm going to go and order a bunch of this lip balm, but where can we go to learn more about the lip balm and some of your products for that particular brand?
It's fanlovebeauty.com, FANLOVEBEAUTY.com, fanlovebeauty.com.
Perfect. And I want to ask this one as my final question, and that's, how do you want, and it's a legacy question, but how do you want to be remembered? So if we're looking at legacy, how do you want the world, how do you want people to see you as your legacy? How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as the woman who has left the impact in people's appearance. And so people remember me like Coca-Cola.
I love it. Ginger King, and absolutely fascinating to get to interview you. And I hope that our listeners pay attention to every word from this show, because she literally deployed everything to the T. She invested in the relationship. She knew what she wanted. She's like, I saw Damon John on Shark Tank. I want to find a way to build that relationship. He's on my Dream 100 list as an example. And then she invested the time. She invested the money. She kept on. And then when the time was right, and she still was coming from a place of service. So she didn't go and just create any random product. She literally created a product because she saw her Dream 100 relationship using something. And she's like, I can make something better. And then when that time was right, hey, can I have a testimonial, a video? And here you go. And she closed that shark. Thank you ever so much, Ginger. Fans and listeners, make sure that you go and check out fanlovebeauty.com, grab some of the products, and deploy that Dream 100 to achieve success like Ginger has. Thank you ever so much, Ginger, for coming on the show today.
Thank you.